At authorsbroadcast.com, we produce and display book video trailers, short 1 or 2 minute videos that help prospective readers learn more about a new book. In this episode of Authors Showcase, we continue with part 2 of Authors We Met at iBAM, the Irish Book, Art, and Music Fair held annually at the Irish American Heritage Center in Chicago. We also visit with presenters at the Evanston Writers Workshop Conference. So grab a pencil to make a note of any books that sound interesting to you, and sit back and enjoy Authors Showcase.
Hi, my name is Cynthia Neal, and I live in New Hampshire, originally from New York, and I'm the author of 3 books, The Irish Dresser, A Story of Hope During the Great Hunger, Angouda Moor, 1845 to 1850. And also Hope in New York City, the continuing story of the Irish Dresser, and my 3rd book, an adult historical fiction novel, Nora, the Making of an Irish American Woman in 19th Century New York. The first book was a labor of love. All 3 have been a labor of love. I thought I would only be writing 1 book. Takes place primarily during the Great Hunger in Ireland. And there were so many people growing up who said to me, why would the Irish only want to eat potatoes anyway? And we know that it was a political famine. And there's much to talk about and learn about, and especially Americans and Irish Americans need to learn about this time in their history. And so I wrote it, and the girl dreams of a better life and hides out in the bottom of the dresser. And on the way over to America, because there's not enough money to pay for a ticket, for passage on the ship, she hides out in the dresser and has an adventure. And she is separated from her family and has this adventure on the ship. So I was dancing in a pub, I do Irish step dancing, when this whole scene, I knew I was going to write about the famine, and this whole scene came before me through that famous poster, The Irish Dresser. Well, we know she makes it, because here she is in New York City, and she dresses as a newsboy, and she sells newspapers. She meets the poet, Walt Whitman, and she's involved in the first major theater riot in New York, but longs to go home to Ireland. So this book is also one I love, but it's like the middle child that kind of gets missed. And then I thought it was finished, and I found out there was a real Nora McCabe who came from Ireland in 1847 to New York City, and after many epiphanies and all kinds of experience with another publisher, I published this adult book, which is post-massive immigration and pre-Civil War, gangs in New York period. She opens up her own clothing shop. She gets involved in trying to free Ireland from British oppression, and there's a lot of romance as well. You can find my books on my website, cynthianeal.com, on Amazon, and other sites as well.
Hello, my name is Jim O'Brien. I'm the author of a new book out on the Cubs called History 1, Cub 0. What it does is it covers the 105-year championship drought going back to 1908 when the Cubs last won the World Series. Does it in 2 ways. First half of each chapter, decade by decade, goes back in time and lets us know what's closer to 1908 than we are today. Such when you get all the way back, the War of 1812 is closer, Jefferson's presidency is closer, so is Lewis and Clark. And if the Cubs don't win in 6 more years by 2019, we will be equally as close to George Washington's farewell address. Second half of each chapter, decade by decade, comes forward from 1908 and what's happened since. For example, ladies could not wear lipstick to the 1908 World Series. It hadn't been invented yet. Similarly, men couldn't wear zippered trousers for the same reason. We had no farm tractors back then, hadn't been invented. Henry Ford's Model T automated assembly line wasn't until 5 years later. Titanic hadn't even been built back then. So we come forward with inventions since then, movies, television shows. There's over 2,300 items in the index alphabetically by year, covering what's happened before and since. And it's unique. There's never been a book like it before or since. Of course, there's never been a 105-year championship drought. That goes back to before the National Hockey League, 1917, before the National Football League, 1920, before the NBA, 1946. So if you're thinking of a Christmas gift, for example, you can't find a better Christmas gift. And the book has its own website, www.history1cub0thebook.com. Why do I mention that? There's a feedback section on that website, and I invite Cub fans to give me feedback about their personal experience, their parents, their grandparents, what it was like for them or their family to go through the championship drought. And my hope is, if I get enough feedback, the sequel to this book will be Cub fans' championship drought experiences. And I can't think of a more compelling sequel to this.
You're watching Author Showcase.
Bernadette O'Connell.
My right fan kicks? Just on the right side? Okay, no problem. My hair, I can straighten that. I have a travel iron. And my nose is no problem. I usually shave it. Lose 10 pounds? I'll lose 50 pounds to be a rockette. Just give me a wink. You won't even recognize me. So, how low?
I'm Joanna Rush, and I'm here at the iBAM Festival in Chicago with my book, Asking for It, and also I'm doing excerpts from my play, Asking for It. It's a dark comedy about, it deals with rape, religion, and redemption. It's based on my life, and it's emotionally and spiritually true. I do take poetic license to set times and set places. It starts out with the character Bernadette. It's based on me, but her name's Bernadette. And it starts out in Catholic grammar school, and it follows her her dream to become a rockette or a priest, but she becomes a rockette. And then it just traces her life and her spiritual journey, really, through a lot of different changes, and then how she arrives back at her own personal spiritual path. It's a very joyful piece, and I think what they get out of it, and I got from one person in the audience, a young woman who had been sexually assaulted, and she wrote to me that she wanted to remember a line that I said, that there's a part of us that can never be destroyed, and she said it just gave her life back. So it's a really, I don't want to get emotional, but it's been a really deep journey. And I got to say, there's so many laughs. Somebody counted them. There's like over 100. I write humor, and as an actor, one of my specialties is I play a lot of comic characters. But smart comic characters. Anyway, when I started writing a bunch of monologues, and I couldn't find the humor. And I said, why do I want to write about this? It's too depressing. But I'm Irish, and there's something about that. I don't know, in my family and around the table and everything, but I can find the humor. I can mine it in just about anything. My other plays, actually, one is about 9/11, and now I'm working on one about abortion. And I don't know, there's just some really great gift of the Blarney or whatever that I can find the humor. I can find it. It makes it like a sleigh ride or like a roller coaster ride. There's a monologue, and it's the first piece that I ever wrote, and it hasn't changed from the first draft. And while I was writing it, I was recalling a rape that I had gone through, and I'm just going to say a line in it because this is what came up. She's going through this horrible thing, and then she remembers, I remember St. Cecilia, remember how she suffered, her head half off, and she never complained. It's like that's really what happened, but I think it's hilarious. I mean, the audience, they're afraid to laugh, but they do, and then they go, right back. I really can't pull apart how that thing works, you know? The name of the book is Asking for It, and it's on Amazon, and this person on the cover was me as a Rockette at the age 17. And I don't know, I didn't know this was going to be the cover, but there's something about it, like the bluebird of happiness. I don't know, it's kind of ironic, but it's on Amazon.
Do you realize that your situation, actions, and state of mind has the power to affect everyone you meet along your life's journey? Are you consciously aware of the man that you pass on the street each morning, the woman who sits next to you each afternoon on the bus ride home, or the little boys and girls that ride their bicycles up and down your street each evening? 40 Days of Cause and Effect is a powerful, mind-changing book that challenges readers to take action by using real-life situations to cause a positive response in the reactions of those you come into contact with each day. Life is but a vapor. Discover how what you do today will affect someone tomorrow. Author Pastor Corey Pariseau began his life in the midst of a storm of domestic violence, drugs, and sexual abuse. At the age of 4, young Corey was taken from his home and placed into the Child Protection Services. When he turned 7, he was adopted into a large multiracial family who lived in the southern hills of Ohio. Through the actions of others who he met along his journey, the miraculous hand of God transformed his state of mind. He heard and answered the call of God upon his life. In 40 Days of Cause and Effect, Pastor Corey guides you on a mental and spiritual journey that will coach, encourage, and inspire you to make necessary changes toward positively impacting the lives of others you meet each day in inspiring, life-changing ways. Become a part of the Cause and Effect movement. Get it now at 40dayscauseandeffect.com, Amazon.com, BarnesandNoble.com, or ask your local bookseller.
You can now enjoy watching Authors Showcase episodes on your smartphone with our new Authors Broadcast mobile app, available at iTunes and Google Play.
Hi, my name is Debbie Fliegelman. I write as Debbie Cairo. We're here at the Orrington Hotel in Evanston for our annual conference, the Evanston Writers Workshop in the Trenches with the Writers Conference. We have local authors and editors and industry professionals come in to teach our membership about their craft. We've been around since 2007. The group itself has weekly meetings. We have a creative writing prompt group and a critique group that meet every Wednesday of the month. At this particular event, at the moment, we have Danielle Jackson speaking. She's the head of publicity at Source Books. We also have Tracy Montoya. She is the editor at Entangled Publishing. We also have our wonderful authors that have agreed to come in to do this. Jade Lee, Lori Brown, Christine Sneed, Pamela Ferdinand. We have a bunch of USA Today bestsellers just passing their knowledge on to our group. I am the founder and CEO of Evanston Writers Workshop. I also write under the name of Debbie Cairo. I have 2 books out. One is Over My Undead Body, and the other one is When Good Toys Go Bad, both of which are available on Amazon. If you want to know more about the Evanston Writers Workshop, you can find us at evanstonwritersworkshop.org. We are also on meetup.com/evanstonwriters.
And they're a ton of fun. Hi there, I am Jade Lee, and this is my second year coming to the Evanston Writers Workshop. I presented both times, but you know what? I come here to learn too. They are brilliant. I have gotten like 4 or 5 insights just this morning alone. In case you're wondering, I write Regency-era romance as Jade Lee. I'm a USA Today bestseller. This is my book. If you don't know what that Regency-era means, think Pride and Prejudice with sex. That's what I do. I also write as Kathy Lyons as contemporaries. Those are my contemporaries. I've done over 40 books, and yet I still come to writers' events and writers' conferences because I learn things. I, in fact, presented a master's class in characterization with Lori Brown. And I did my bit, and she was like, oh, that's really a good idea. And then she did her bit, and I was like, wait, do that again? Tell me this? Because everyone writes a little bit different, and we're always trying to think of a new way to do something or a new way to look at character or plot or whatever. And this is what we do, is we get together and we talk about technique, about marketing, and it's wonderful. Okay, so you know how to get in touch with them, evanstonwritersworkshop.org, and I am at jadeleeauthor.com. Yes, I had to put the author in because it turns out Jade Lee is also a porn star, not me, swear to God. So that's my piece of advice. If you're picking a website and an author name, I had to get a pen name for stupid reasons. But anyway, make sure it's available and it's not a porn star.
Hi, I'm Laura Brown. I'm here at the Evanston Writers Workshop. I presented a workshop on self-editing because writers in this competitive market today need to make their fiction the very best it can be before they send it off to an editor. Now, sure, editors edit and editors line edit, but to get your foot in the door, you've got to have it be as pristine as you possibly can. So I was talking about different techniques to use to make your fiction better. And then I also presented a workshop with the fabulous Jade Lee on characterization, and we have such a good time bouncing ideas back and forth off each other that it is a very creative atmosphere. So I love coming to the workshop because I learn as well as teach. Okay. One of the things that many new authors do is go into passive voice. We need active voice. We want active verbs. So if you look at your manuscript and you go through and you highlight all of the verbs in yellow, then you become very aware of those verbs. And is that the best verb that you have? Is as was? Because those are the weakest verbs. Find something stronger. Find something active and rewrite those sentences in an active voice. And that will improve your fiction and impress an editor. Something else that you can do is you can go through your manuscript and highlight all the first words of the sentences in some other color, purple, green, and look at the beginning words of the sentences. Are they all the, he, she? Got to change some of those up. Get a different sentence structure. Find something different. And that will improve your fiction. So those are just 2 of the little tips that I passed along. Hope that's helpful. I write romantic fiction. I have 4 source books, and my last book out was called What Would Jane Austen Do? And it is about a modern day heroine who travels back in time to meet Jane Austen and actually does meet her, which of course I would do. If somebody offered me a chance to do that, I would do it in a heartbeat, especially if I could come back. I mean, I would like to come back. And it was a Rita finalist, which in the romance industry is like an Oscar. So I was very, very happy with that. And I am writing a second book in that series called Have You Asked Jane? And I'm working on it now, so I'm hoping it will release next spring. And it is also from Source Books. So you can find my books at sourcebooks.com or any of the major book sites, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, any of those.
You can now enjoy watching Author Showcase episodes on your smartphone with our new Authors Broadcast mobile app.
My name's Holly Yeager. I'm on the board of directors for Evanston Writers Workshop. I am the Chief Marketing Officer and Chief Operating Officer working under Debbie Fligelman, who is the founder. And some things that we're doing for Evanston Writers Workshop for next year, in addition to the current promotions to promote the current conference and seminars, is we're actually trying to make the conference more accessible to more people from an online perspective and a frequency perspective, more than just locally here in Evanston, Illinois. But we will continue to research and develop additional conferences that will be available to speakers and potential authors online and possibly in more locations around the state, if not around the country. So stay tuned. We have more coming your way. Keep your eye on evanstonwritersworkshop.org.
I'm Tracy Montoya. I'm an editor for Entangled Publishing. We are a boutique romance publisher. And today I'm at the Evanston Writers Workshop. I will be talking about beginning your book with a bang. You've often probably heard people think it's a myth, but that an editor or an agent can tell whether your book is going to be rejected or accepted or will read on within the first page or even the first paragraph or sometimes even the first sentence. And it is not so much of a myth. We do that sometimes. And how we can tell is if we love the voice, sure, we'll read on to see, well, what else you got, where's the plot? But if you're relying more on plot to sell your work, particularly if you're going for genre fiction like romance or sci-fi or mystery, it's really important to grab the reader. And how you do that is you begin in the middle of some action. You don't feel like you have to vomit your backstory right away. You begin in the middle of things and keep going from there. If you think about Star Wars, the movie Star Wars, it caught us. We didn't see Luke sitting on the farm on Tatooine bored right away, although that was an important part of establishing his character. We began right away with a space battle, and that's what grabbed us and held our attention. And it didn't hurt that for 1977, those effects were stunningly good. And what you have to do is you don't have the visual and sound element that a movie producer has, so you really have to grab somebody with your action. If you think about murder mysteries in general, do they begin with somebody shopping and we look at them and think about how much it's going to suck when they're killed? Do we begin with the murderer looking at weapons and deciding, what do I want to use today? Or do we usually begin with the first murderer? In a lot of cases, you see that first murder happening and then you go back and find out why you should care. And we focus on scaring the pants off you first. So it's never too early to begin your novel, or never too late in your novel. If you begin in the middle of some action, more often than not, you can feed the backstory in later and really grab your editor or your agent in the process. And if you want to read some really fantastic romance novels that begin with a bang, you can go to entangledpublishing.com. We have a suspense line, we have sweet romances, we have hot and heavy romances, young adult and new adult, and historical. So again, entangledpublishing.com. So think about it. What do we know so far about Holly and Amy and Dr. Darian? Do we know anything that's interesting?
No.
Not really. You know, she likes to set up her friend as sort of a busybody and likes to talk about their backstory again and again. And we know Holly is kind of a dork and sort of pathetic. And I don't know if we can relate to her yet. And Dr. Darian, he was involved in a sex scandal, which makes him a little bit of a creep, but obviously it's untrue because Amy says so, and she knows everybody's backstory. But when I asked, do you want to know any more of them, pretty much all of you went, yeah, no. Okay. So.
Hi, I'm Anastasia Royal. I'm an author, and I'm happy to be here at the Evanston Writers Workshop Conference in Evanston, Illinois. I can see the lake out here. It's a beautiful setting, and Debbie Fligelman has done a great job getting authors and writers together to talk about the writing world. I was talking about blogging, or I will be about to talk about blogging, And I'm an author of 2 books so far. And my first book was a novel called Undoing I Do. And it's about the convergence of love and divorce. After 12 marriages, I think I'm an expert. I use hyperbole because I care. It was my first marriage. And that was my first book with St. Martin's Press. And then I co-wrote a book called The Royal Treatment with my sister, who counts Oprah Winfrey as her client, as a veterinarian. And we wrote a book about a natural approach to wildly healthy pets. And that just came out with Simon & Schuster. And that was a lot of fun to co-write. And I interviewed my sister for about 2.5 years, so I feel I could be a vet. That's the beautiful perk of being a writer. You can delve into all these worlds that you don't really know about, and then you can pretend you're that type of a person. So those are my 2 books, and I have a music video online about my first novel. I'm also a musician, pianist, and so yes, that's what I do, and I'm looking forward to going in right now and speaking. And you can find out about my work at www.undoingido.com, or you could look up The Royal Treatment, which is the book that was a nonfiction book that I co-wrote with my sister, if you have animals and you want a very good read about what you can do to save money on your vet bills and make your pet wildly healthy. And that is The Royal Treatment, A Natural Approach to Wildly Healthy Pets. You can find that online.
Rage runs red in the small Iowa town of Cedar Falls, where beautiful high school senior Jenny San Giovanni has an ex-boyfriend with a bad temper. Classmate Tad McGreevy possesses a special gift. He sees auras around others that tell him whether they are good or evil. While asleep, Tad suffers vivid and violent nightmares where he relives the crimes of the evildoers. When best buddy Stevie Scranton goes missing, Tad vows to do everything he can to find him. Now he must learn to control his paranormal powers to save the ones he loves. Enlisting the help of a retired policeman and a group of volunteers, this ragtag team of detectives discovers a monstrous evil more sinister than anyone could imagine. Red is for Rage is the second novel in the award-winning Color of Evil series by Connie Corcoran Wilson. William F. Nolan says of Wilson, "She's good, damn good." Red is for Rage by Connie Corcoran Wilson is available online and at your favorite bookseller.